Hello everyone and welcome to the DeHart house. My name is Alicia and I'm your host of this crafty channel here on YouTube. Today is Saturday, March 30th is the day I'm recording this, and it's morning. It's going to be a beautiful day outside with sunny weather, high temperatures in the low 60-degree Fahrenheit. It's going to be a glorious spring day. So I'm looking forward to recording this and then getting outside to spend some time in my yard, mowing the lawn, picking some weeds out of the garden, maybe planting a few more seeds, that kind of thing. So wherever you are, I hope that you are having some nice weather as well and are able to get outside, get some sunshine, maybe get together with friends and family. This is my March Makes video where I talk about the things that I worked on during the month of March, so craft related things. I have knitting, and that's it. I have knitting to talk about. So I want to start with the projects that I was able to finish in the month of March. Then talk about projects I worked on but still aren't finished, so they're going to carry on into the month of April. And then share some things about general life stuff in the garden and what's been going on with me. So that's the order we're gonna go through things today. So did I finish anything in the month of March? Yes, I did. I did. It's not a big thing. It is a small thing. I finished a gnome. So this is Mr. Knightley, and Mr. Knightley comes from a pattern called Snow Matter What by Sarah Shira, who is Imagine Landscapes. And this was the mystery knit along for December of last year during like Advent season. And the pattern came with two lovely little gnome stuffies. One of them here is Mr. Knightley, and the other one looks like a snowman. And I opted just to make the one. So I started this project in February. I started this on February 25th this year. And I finished it on March 15th. So not too bad. I worked on this amidst other projects, but I think my favorite part of this is the embroidery with the snowflakes. Yeah, he was a lot of fun to make. So the yarn I used, this rust color, was left over from a shawl project. I can't remember the dyer. I need to look that up and see if I actually put that on my project page on Ravelry from the shawl. If not, then I have lost that information. But yeah, it's a beautiful rust color. The main color here for the body is some of my hand-dyed yarn, which makes me want to dye yarn again because it's beautiful. And then just some plain white, probably Knit Pick Stroll, but I'm not really sure. And yeah, he's just adorable. And I love the scarf detail, like purposefully having it curl up like that. No work required because we know our knitting likes to curl all on its own, so just kind of exploiting that natural behavior I think is adorable. So Mr. Knightley is finished and he will join the gnome crew when I decorate for the holidays, so he will dress up the mantle over the fireplace. Yeah, so I did weigh the yarn before I started, and then I weighed it again afterward. I am curious how much yarn goes into these little things. I know it's only a small amount, but sometimes it can be hard to plan using up scraps of yarn for little projects like this. and just wondering, you know, is a 20-gram mini skein going to be enough? What if I only have half of that? Is that going to be enough? Because it would really be a bummer to, you know, knit half of his body and run out of yarn. Anyway, so I weighed the yarn mostly just out of curiosity. So the white, I used 1 gram. And so the white, I'll hold him up again, is just his nose, his hands, and the embroidery. So that was 1 gram of fingering weight yarn. The rust color, I used 7 grams. So that's the bulk of the hat. And the scarf, that was 7 grams. And then the body, this blue color here, I used 9 grams. So, oh yeah, and the trim on the hat as well. Yeah, so 10 grams of any one of these colors would certainly be enough to create this guy. So all in all, that took about 74 yards out of my stash, which is not a lot, but that's an estimation since I don't exactly know the yarn that I used. So I used a ball of Knit Picks Felici as the base for that computation, but yeah, so under 100 yards coming out of the stash in that project. That was not about stash busting. It was about, you know, just creating the little guy and adding to my gnome collection. So yeah, I'm really happy to have finished that during the winter season. So winter on the calendar ended on March 19th and spring started. And so I did finish him in the winter season. And I'm really happy that I was able to do that. Sadly, that is the only project that I finished in the month of March. Yeah. I thought I was going to finish a sweater or a pair of socks to go with it. That did not happen. But it did not happen for sad and happy reasons. So first of all, let me show you the socks that I'm working on. So I've got some Patton's Croy. These are the mid-century stripes. I thought they were called 50 stripes, but the tag says mid-century stripes. Whatever. It's got this like gold color as the main color, and then it stripes through like blue, green, pink, mauve, white. And then I used Patton's Croy in the muslin colorway for the heel. And yeah, so this used up almost a whole 50-gram ball of Patton's Croy. So I do have the one sock finished, and I have the second sock on the needles, and I am past the heel flap and gusset, and now it is just knitting round and round and round until I finish the foot. And I'm pretty sure that I could finish these because today's the 30th of March. And when I sit down to edit this episode, I will be knitting on these socks. So I will still make a little bit more progress on these. So they could get finished today, but I don't know for sure. So I'm just going to show them to you as is, and they're going to be a work in progress, and I'll keep you updated if that changes, but I am knitting them on double point needles. I realized that some of the socks I've knit, when I first started out, I was using double point needles. And those socks are still in commission. They're still in use. And I wanted to give them a shot again. I really like magic loop, and knitting with two 16-inch circulars is just very easy. easy on my wrists, easy to pack away, easy to try the socks on. Just the cables are flexible and I really like that. But I noticed that the double point needle socks seems to be holding up really well, so I wanted to give those a shot. And I had given away all of my double point needles that were this small, so I ordered some new ones and I really like them. They're holding up very well. And of course, I'm talking about them and I've forgotten the brand name and everything. So I'd say a big downside though is that the text, not like you're going to be able to see it, but it's printed on here, the needle size, and it's already rubbing off. Like these two socks are the only socks I've knit on these needles and it's already rubbing off, so that's going to be gone like lickety split. But yeah, these are US size 1 knitting needles and they're carbons, I know that much. I am getting a rhythm. I'm getting used to it. Still not my super favorite method, but yeah, so Patton's Croy sock yarn, US size 1 double point needles, cuff down. I love the cuff down method. I have a lot of time casting off, binding off at the top and getting the right tension so it's not too tight or it's not too loose. But what I have found is that I use a German twisted cast on and it is perfect. It is everything I could have ever wanted in the top edge of socks. So I knit cuff down for that very reason. So I do German twisted cast on. I've got 2x2 ribbing all the way down. These socks are for my husband and he loves the fit of a 2x2 rib, and I'm just continuing that down the top of the foot. And yeah, so what else am I missing? Oh yeah, 64 stitches and heel flap, gusset. Yeah. Now the sweater that I thought I was going to finish in the month of March, I realized I was not knitting the correct size and it's too big. Yeah, it's too big. So this is the Driftwood, which is a free pattern from Isabel Kramer, and I'm knitting this out of Caron 1 pound worsted weight yarn, and I'm following striping from one of the projects. Some folks modified the stripes as written, and I found a project I really loved the photograph of, and I'm copying that. And I tried it on, so I got this far, which is really far, and it is way too big. So the pattern calls for 1 to 2 inches of positive ease. 1 to 2, 2 to 4, something like that. I have 12 extra inches of positive ease, and so it is too big. So as soon as I realized that, I stopped knitting on this and I set it aside. I made more progress on those socks I just showed you, but mostly just like, okay, before I rip this out, I'm going to rip this out and I'm going to start over. But before I rip this out, I need to measure my gauge because I think my gauge is off, for one. And then I think I've probably also chosen a size that was too big. So even if my gauge was right, I think I probably also chose a size that was too large. Because I think that I'm bigger than I am and I just overcompensate. So anyway, it's just sitting here in the craft room until I finish the next thing that I show you. So I did cast on for spring, for my spring making list, and I cast on a new project, and thankfully that has been going well. So I've been focusing my energy on that project because it's been going well and it's bringing me a lot of joy. And after I finish that project, I will come back to my driftwood sweater and I will measure my gauge. I'll look again at the pattern, and just kind of figure out, do I need to use a thinner yarn? Maybe it's just, some of these worsted weight gauges, I'm like, I don't know how they get the stitches that tight how do you get 18 to 20 stitches in 4 inches with worsted weight yarn? I'm really struggling with trying to get that gauge. And I've adjusted my needle sizes, but I've kind of gone down to the lowest threshold I can get to. And I'm still not getting more stitches in those 4 inches. So I might just need to use a smaller yarn. I'm not sure. Anyway, this is why I'm waiting to rip this project out, is I kind of need to do some investigating of gauge, yarn, needles, size. And I need to make all of those things come together so that I actually get a finished driftwood that fits appropriately and looks nice. So yeah, so I made a lot of progress on that sweater and it's all going to get ripped out, which makes me very sad. But I'd rather rip it out and start new and actually make something that I will wear and enjoy. And I would go ahead and finish it and gift it to somebody else that it would fit. But I don't know anyone else that it would fit. Like it's an odd size that I've made where it's too big for me, but it's too small for, anyway, it won't work. It won't work. Otherwise, I would just be like, hey, this is someone's Christmas present, but it's not gonna work actually. So sadly, yeah, all of that progress is gonna get ripped out. So the project that I am working on that's bringing me a lot of joy, that's a new cast on in the month of March, from my spring making list, is the Solidago. It's a t-shirt pattern from the Barocco design team, and this is a free pattern that I downloaded off of Ravelry. And the yarn that I'm using is Kobu, which is a Lion Brand yarn, and this is 51% cotton and 49% rayon from bamboo, right? So I just got it, Kobu, cotton and bamboo. Okay, so is it Kabu? Like cotton? Kabu? I'm gonna say Kobu. The color is ice blue. And I did actually purchase the yarn for this project, so I will be doing a yards in, yarn out segment as well, since I've brought some stuff in order to make this project. So anyway, this is the yarn that I'm using. I cast this project on a couple days after spring started because the first day of spring was March 19th, and that was during final exam week, which is a busy week, as you can imagine, at work. So I didn't start it like right away, but pretty quickly after the start of spring, the spring season. So we had final exams, and I'm currently on spring break. It ends after this weekend, and I go back to work. So I've been doing a lot of knitting, and particularly on this project. So this is constructed bottom up. I did not realize I have had trouble with bottom-up garments in the past. I think I'm doing okay now. This is the back piece. So you knit the back and the front, and then you sew them up. You sew them together on the sides and the top, and knit little borders around the sleeve and the collar. And that's it. And I finished the back. So yeah, so you start at the bottom and do some 1x1 ribbing, and then follow the pattern stitch, which I think just looks super nice. Very, very nice. And there's no shaping, it's just a rectangle. And yeah, so let's see. Have I done some modifications? Yes. Have I also found some ways to overcome my issues with getting gauge and stuff? Yeah, hopefully. So the pattern calls for US 5 needles for the main patterning part. I did not meet gauge with the US 5, so I went down to 4s. So I'm using 4s. And so I did change my needle size. I'm glad I caught myself on the picking which size to make. I'm making size 3. I was originally going to be making size 4, and then I measured myself and went, oh wow, 4 would be way too big. So I mean, I think that's part of my issues with the driftwood is I was thinking I was bigger than I really am. But yeah, so you can see it's pretty good. This is half cotton, and I have made things with cotton before, and I know that it will kind of stretch, right? And as it hangs and the weight of things. So when measuring the length, I kept blocking this. So I'd knit a bunch, make progress, like I'd get through 1 or 2 squares here on the pattern, and then that night I would lay it out on a towel, spritz it with water, stretch it out, and block it. And I think that's really helped with trying to get more accurate measurements. So the pattern says to knit this so that it's about 22.5 inches long, and I feel like that's too short for me. I don't know if I have a longer torso than usual for someone of my height, but I feel like I have to lengthen patterns a lot of times so that they cover my belly. And I teach for a living, so if I'm gonna wear this to work or even out and about, if I lift my arm up and my midriff is showing, I don't like that. I don't like it, and especially in a work setting, it's not professional. I can't be doing that. So I added some length to this. So it's about 26 inches long. So I added 3 to 4 inches onto this thing with the length, and I'm really happy with it so far. I used one of my t-shirts, one of my store-bought regular t-shirts that I like the length on, and I used that as a guide as well. So I would lay this out and wet block it, and then lay my t-shirt down and see, okay, so how are we doing on length here? But yeah, so the back piece is finished. It has you bind off for the shoulders and then leave these stitches on a cable, and so those will get picked up for the back. This is the back, right? So but for the collar. And I did end up using my interchangeable needles. So this is on one of the short cords here with the stoppers. And yeah, so this is half of the garment, y'all. Like, I did this in a week. This is insane. And then I started the front. So the front is already started. I've done the 3 inches of ribbing, and I'm starting the pattern. And what's great is that I've gone through all of the work of figuring out how long to make this, so I just have to copy that over here now. I felt like this was taking me a really long time because I was like, I'm so close to being finished. And then I'd block it and go, no, I need to go 2 more inches. And then I'd knit what I thought was 2 more inches. And then I'd block it and go, no, I still need to go 2 more inches. It just seemed like it was Groundhog's Day, and even though I was making progress, I still needed to go 2 more inches. But yeah, I'm happy with the color choice. The yarn feels amazing. I love it very, very much. Yeah, so this is what I've been working on. We've been watching Designated Survivor with Kiefer Sutherland on Netflix and binging that, and I'm working on this, and it's bringing me a lot of joy. So, yeah, lots of really good progress on this project, and I'm looking forward to finishing this in the month of April. It's happening. It's going to happen. It's one of my goals. So I've set a few goals for myself for the year of 2024, and one of those goals is to use more out of my stash than what I bring in. So I have accumulated quite a lot of yarn and fiber, and I want to use it. I want to enjoy it. I want to kind of tone down the collecting them and actually ramp up the using them, and creating garments that I can enjoy, accessories, gifts, all of those things. So yeah, I'm keeping track of the yardage that I knit up in completed projects and the yardage of things that I'm purchasing and bringing in, because let's face it, I'm not going to stop doing that. Excuse me. So let's do a quick in and out tally. So far, coming out of my stash this year, I have finished 3 projects: the cappuccino cardigan, my hand spun socks, and Mr. Knightley the Gnome. In total, that has used up 1,432 yards out of my stash, which is great. I did purchase yarn in particular for the project I just showed you, the Solidago t-shirt. I purchased 6 balls of Kobu. Each ball has roughly 232 yards. So if you take 232 times 6, I have brought into my stash 1,392 yards. Yikes. I also don't think I needed all 6 balls. I think I'll get away with 5. Oh well. So if we look at the difference just so far out of things I finished, right? If I take the difference between what's come out and what's come in, there's a 40-yard difference. So I do have 40 more yards going out than what I've brought in based on what I finished so far. I'm sitting in a pretty good place right now. Yeah. I'm also keeping track of weight on spinning as well. And I have spun up some fiber, and I have, oh no. Oh, I did purchase more fiber. Shoot. I don't have those tallies for you today. I will make sure to have those updated for next time, because I would also like to start a spinning project. That sounds very delightful to me after I finish knitting my Solidago, because I'm just really enjoying working on that project. But anyway, no, keeping track of the numbers is something I enjoy. I do teach math for a living, so I like the numbers and tracking things. And it just gives me a little bit of motivation to to use what I have instead of purchasing new for a project. But I also don't want to tie my hands behind my back and stop myself from purchasing yarn for a project. Like this one, I I didn't have a 50-50 blend in my stash of cotton bamboo or cotton rayon or cotton nylon or whatever. Um, and I purchased it and I'm using it up right away. So while I did bring this in, it's also going to be coming out. So anyway, that's that. Another goal that I have for the year is to create at least one garment every season. So far the winter season has come to a close and I did finish a garment. I finished the cappuccino cardigan. Sadly not the driftwood, but oh well, it is what it is. For the spring season, I'm hoping that at least one that I finish will be the Solidago t-shirt. So fingers crossed. I am posting progress pictures on my Instagram account as I work on things. So if you want to see, you know, photo updates, I don't usually post videos on Instagram. I usually like to keep it to the still shots, the photographs. It just keeps it a little different than the YouTube channel. So videos show up here, photographs show up there. But if you're curious about my progress along the way and you want sort of more updates than the monthly makes videos, you can follow me over there on Instagram at DeHart House. I also post about my gardening and life adventures on more of my personal account, which is Homegrown Adventurer. And yeah, that's it for the crafting content. I think now I'm going to move into life stuff. So the spring weather is definitely here in the Pacific Northwest. Like, it's beautiful. Just beautiful. We still have rainy, cloudy days, but it's not every day. We have days of sunshine like today, and it brings me a lot of joy. My flowers are blooming, tulips, daffodils, hyacinths. They're all in full bloom, and it's beautiful. I was combing through my pictures on Instagram. It's also kind of a photo log for myself that I can go back through. And last year, the tulips were in bloom around mid-April, so 2 to 3 weeks earlier this year, which is kind of nice. So yeah, I've been having a lot of fun being outside in my garden, enjoying my plants. I've got vegetables growing in the backyard, the garlic, snow peas, some carrots. They're all coming up and coming alive. I've sowed potatoes, onions, cotton. Sowed some cotton seeds. I've got some cotton seedlings in the kitchen. They do need warm temperatures, so they're going to stay inside for quite a while until it's not as cool at night. They just can't handle temperatures like in the 40s. It's too cold for them. So they're going to stay inside for a while. But yeah, I've been sowing seeds. Tomato seedlings have come up, and they're getting to the point now where I'm going to have to separate them into their own pots. But I do like this, I don't know the name of it, but kind of a multi-seeding approach where in a small container, I sow a lot of seeds, and I wait to see how many of those seedlings are going to actually germinate and produce a seedling. And then I pull them out of that pot and I separate them and then put them in their own containers. And it just saves on space is the main thing. So not every seed actually produces a plant, and not every plant is strong enough to really make it. So it just saves on some of that space right from the get-go. And yeah, so that's, I'm having a lot of fun with the gardening that is consuming a bunch of my time. I have been making a lot of sourdough bread. I finally figured out sourdough starters. I don't know, I struggle with them. It's a responsibility. I saw a meme on Facebook. I thought it was hilarious. Someone took a picture of their sourdough starter in a jar and said, this is the, remember those gigapets we used to play with as kids? This is our adult gigapet. I just thought that was hilarious because it feels true. You have to tend to that thing every day, especially if you leave it out on the counter and don't put it in the fridge, which is what I've been doing. So I've been making a lot of sourdough bread, partially because I'm throwing a bunch of starter away anyway. And we've been eating it. It tastes amazing. The bread is awesome, and we're eating lots of sandwiches and toast and things like that. So speaking of which, I have dough in the kitchen that is in one of its rising stages that I have to keep pausing and going to tend to in the kitchen. But yeah, so lots of baking bread and tending to the garden, and I'm just really enjoying spring break, and I'm sad to be going back to work, but to pay the bills somehow. So that's been going on, and big news, we bought a new car. So we have a Honda CRV that is 8 years old, and it's starting to show its age. Not that it's broken down and decrepit, it's just it's showing its age. We've driven it from we bought it when we lived in Montana, and then we moved to Texas. We made that drive. All the driving we did around Texas, going on adventures. Then we moved up here to Washington State, so it made that drive as well. We drive down to California pretty regularly to visit family, so it does all of that driving. We drove down to Texas for Christmas to visit, so it went down and back up. It's what pulls our camper. We take out on adventures, driving back on dirt roads to get to camping sites and hiking trails, and it has a lot of miles on it. And we're to the point now where, you know, coming out of quarantine and places being closed, things are opening back up, and we go to work every day, and not everyone does that still. But Michael and I both teach for a living, and we go to work every day to teach. And that is getting a little bit harder with all of our doctor's appointments. For one person to be at work, but the other one needs to be at a doctor's appointment, and because we don't always teach at the same time, but we teach at the same place. So we commute together, and anyway, it's just like, you know what? You know that electric car we've been wanting to buy? Let's just buy it. So we woke up and Michael said, let's go look at cars. You know, around this time last year, we were thinking about buying one, but they weren't really in stock to test drive. And that's a really big part of buying a car for us, is actually getting in it, seeing how the seats feel and how does it handle. And without being able to test drive one, I wasn't going to just order it online and hope for the best. I mean, that's a lot of money we're talking about. The thing that you spend a lot of time in, getting to and from work and all the places. So anyway, we spent a day and test drove a few vehicles and picked one that we liked, and we have an electric vehicle now and a new car, and we're pretty excited about it. So we put solar panels on our house a couple years ago, and so we've been reaping the benefits of solar energy, reducing our electric bill. and helping to, reduce emissions and all of those great things. And now we have an electric vehicle, so our solar panels can charge up the car, which is great. And we don't have to sit in line at the gas station. I mean, we still have our gas vehicle. We are not going to get rid of it. That will be the vehicle we take out to get to camping sites and hiking trails and long road trips, hauling things from the hardware store home and whatever. We will still have that, and it will be nice to have 2 vehicles for a while, but the electric vehicle will be our daily commute to and from work, to and from the grocery store, to and from the doctor's office, just around town driving, which we do a lot of. We live in the Seattle area, and it's a lot of traffic, and there's construction going on, sitting and waiting, and so yeah, I'm excited. It's a big purchase. I was hesitant to go for it because it's a lot of money all at once, but I'm glad we did it. So that's the big thing that I wanted to share with you guys. We're excited. All right, I have babbled on enough, so if you stuck to the end, thank you. I look forward to seeing you in future videos. There will definitely be an April Makes video at the end of April, so you'll be able to see all the things that I finished or started or whatever in the month of April. Hopefully I don't have any other projects that flop and fail, but you never know. Stay tuned. So there will definitely be a video at the end of April, but I'm also looking forward to putting up some other videos in the meantime for your viewing pleasure. So check in here every Sunday to see if I've got something new for you. And until then, I hope that you stay safe, stay healthy, and that you enjoy your crafts, whatever they may be. Bye.